We are in month 3 of our year of soups. Now, the reason it's month 3, even though we're on May, is because I didn't start it till March. So it's my year, not a chronological year. So we have done 4 more soups this month, very different kinds. We're going to have one of them again for our tea tonight, because I made quite a lot of the sweet potato and corn soup, which was really tasty. I'm going to have that again with cornbread. I recommended in that section of the video to make cornbread to go with it. Absolutely delicious. So this is the channel Trying to Get By. I'm Samantha. Have a look at the soups we have made this month. Wondering what I'm making with this soup? We had mash. I peeled the potatoes. I didn't put them in my stock bag. I thought I'm going to do something with these, and the way I'd normally do something with them is I'd throw them in the air fryer with a little bit of oil and a little bit of salt. There you go. Some like crispy chip things for you to jump on. But no, I decided I'm going to do something different with them. So in the old World War II, use everything up, don't waste a single thing vein, we are going to make potato peel soup. So I've literally got peelings of potatoes for, I think it was about 3 potatoes, an onion, which is inevitable because onion goes in nearly every soup I have made so far. This is a 1/4 cup of grated carrot that I froze because I had so many carrots from my Too Good To Go box from Morrison's. I made loads of things, I did loads of things, but now I have got these all quartered. Garlic clove, stock cube, Instant Pot. Literally every single thing is going to go in the Instant Pot. I'm not even going to think about it. I am going to put this on pressure cook for about 10 minutes and then let it do a natural release. In with some boiling water, just enough to create a couple of portions of soup, because this is not going to create a vast amount of soup. This is going to be our soup for this evening, and that's going to be the basis of the soup. I might add some things to it. I'll see at the end. We might throw some chickpeas in. We could throw some tofu in. You could throw the meats that you want, whatever. You could also put maybe some wontons in there or something. I don't know. There's plenty of things you can add to it, but this is the basic soup we are making. Pressure cook. I'll say about 10 minutes. Let's go 12. Yeah. Start that. There you go. Done. Something I love about Instant Pots is set it and forget it. But don't forget it for 40 minutes. Yeah, so this went to 12 minutes. Pressure cook for 12 minutes, and then this natural release, it tells you how long it's been natural releasing for, and I completely forgot about it because I was in the middle of doing Paulie Archie's leg, so we were too busy soothing and dealing with him, poor little trauma baby. Yeah, it's not getting better as such, it's not getting worse. It's just a case of maintaining how his leg is. Anyway, back to the soup. So this should release really easily because it's had plenty of time to do the thing. And this is all just really well cooked down. And all I'm going to do now is give it a blitz and see how it looks. Now, as obviously we were using potato peels are quite a dark colour. We have got quite a dark soup, so I'm just going to test this. It's got a little bit of a jacket potato vibe. Sorry, double dipping. It's only me and Chris eating it. Definitely needs a bit of the old salt and pepper. Plenty of pepper for Chris. I know he'll probably put in extra anyway. That'll do for me. He can add his own. Definitely a nice bit of salt. Go in with this again because it's just quicker. There we go. Have another taste. That's quite nice. A little bit sweet. Probably because of the carrots. So all I've got to do is make sure this is nice and hot for when Chris is ready. He's going to be home in a little bit, so I'll probably just pop this on a saute. I'm going to leave it in here, put it on a saute when we need it, and that's the base of a really easy soup if you have got potato peelings. And then, like I said before, just add to it whatever you fancy. We're going for some cubed tofu that I'm going to put in the air fryer. I got this fennel a little while back and I forgot about it in the fridge, and I couldn't think of what to use it for. And then Chris is not a massive fan of fennel because it's the anise flavour. He's a bit about it. Then I spotted a couple of apples that were starting to look a little bit dodgy, so I was like, okay, do you know what? Fennel and apple salad would have been good if everything was looking great, but fennel and apple soup could work. So I just chucked it in a freezer bag, and I'm going to cook it from frozen. So I'm just going to pop the heat on, dump this in. So this is one fennel, fronds and all, a couple of apples. We're going to bung it in there. We're going to add a stock cube. So I've just got a bog standard vegetable stock cube. We're going to pop that in. And I'm going to put a little bit of water in. Maybe halfway up where the fruit and veg is. To about there. I'm going to pop the lid on and see what happens. I'm not going to add any other flavours as yet, because I honestly do not know what it's going to taste like. So we're going to cook it, puree it, and then do a bit of a taste test. Just realised I started blending and I thought I'd done a little bit to talk about it and I'd not pressed record. So I was saying, this was about cooked long enough for me to wash the pots, which was about 8 minutes. We used boiling water, so that's probably kick-started it. And everything's pretty tender, so that's why we are blending. Right, I've not added any seasoning or anything to this apart from the stock cube, so we're going to have a little taste and then decide what we need to add. Okay. Salt to start with. It's got... I am double dipping, forgive me, it's my soup for me. Chris won't be having any, so it'll only be me who'll be eating this. I want to say it's got a bit of a stuffing flavour to it. So, if I want, it's quite nice. The fennel doesn't blend down completely. I can imagine if you put it in a proper stand blender, it will blend down even better. Ours is broke, so we can't use that one. Do you know what? You could probably get away with a little bit of sage in there. Where is my sage? Where is my sage? Aha! Found it. And I'm only going to put the tiniest of pinch of sage in there, just to give it a little bit of a, I say it feels a bit, I want to say Christmassy. That'll work. Yeah. A little bit of sage in your fennel and apple soup. And when I say a little bit, I mean, you know, pinch between the fingers amount, like, not just much more than that. If you want to add a little bit more, you could do. Maybe a little bit of white pepper. Again, just the merest smidge. It's just going to give it a little bit of ambient heat behind it. Yep, that'll do. Slightly Christmassy flavoured soup. We're going to make a sweet potato soup with lots of chunky things in it. This will not be a pureed soup. This will be all nice and chunky. So I've got an onion, some pepper, some sweet potatoes that I am just going to chop into cubes. So about a couple of centimetres, or old money, about an inch. I've got some black beans, I've got some sweet corn, I've got some tomatoes, water for stock. I've got my bouillon powder because there's bags full of flavour in there. To enhance the flavour, we've got some paprika, some chilli, some cumin. I just remembered I need, reaching over to the other table, some garlic. So I'm going to use this pickled garlic that I have got that needs using up. And we're going to start by sautéing the onion and some of the garlic in a pan, and then we'll go from there. Right, so once the onion and the garlic is done, basically go in with your potatoes, your sweet corn, your black beans and your peppers. Basically just chuck everything else in there. I did have a nice little section where I was telling you about everything I was putting in, but we also toasted off our herbs. No, our spices. So our spices were 2 teaspoons of cumin, a teaspoon of paprika, and a little bit of chilli, depending on what your chilli tolerance is. I don't know what happened. My phone is being a pain because that's all I record on, is just on my phone. So that's all gone in there. I will post a link to the recipe that I kind of borrowed from in the description box, because clearly I'm having terrible issues at the moment. I had an issue, I think it was last week, with the soup recipe as well. So there we go. So next was my bouillon powder, which is a mixture of different things like onion powder, garlic powder, tomato skins that have been ground up. It's just a really rich powder. It's going to be a lot better than a vegetable stock. If you've only got a vegetable stock, that's fine, but you might just need to edit your seasonings a little bit. So I'm just going to use this to rinse out, and I'm just going to pour in enough that we're going to cover. So let's make sure that that's, yeah, that's covered. Make sure everything is gone underneath that liquid, and we are going to bring to a boil, reduce to low, because this retains the heat and will just boil even on the low heat. So I'll probably transfer it to a low burner, so I'll probably swap it to my right hand burner, and that's where we are up to, and we'll come and have a look once we have cooked it down. So this came to the boil, made a bit of a mess. Typical. I had to put it on my low heat. This is on the lowest heat I can get it on, and because of this cast iron pan, it's still bubbling away, but everything is cooked. I have stuck a knife into the sweet potato, but if we look, there we go, all good through. So let's have a bit of a taste. Now I should really get a bit of sweet potato on my spoon. I just want to get a little bit of everything. So there we go. Now this is going to be nuclear hot, as usual. Pour a bit of that off. Nuclear hot. Hot. Oh, that is blindingly hot. I'm going to turn that off now because that's well cooked. But that was really tasty. Not too spicy as well. It's not going to blow Chris's head off, which is a good thing. But this is a really nice dish. If you are like into, I don't know, I kind of want to go southwestern style dishes. They're a little bit spicy. It's not Mexican. Is it Tex-Mex style? Possibly. Beans and corn, sweet potato, tomatoes, some spices, tomato. Yeah, this is great. This with a bit of cornbread. Oh, I love cornbread. If you've never seen my cornbread recipe, I do Ree Drummond's cornbread recipe. I will post a link in the description box. It is done in a skillet to start with, and then it goes in the oven. It is an absolutely delicious cornbread, and I absolutely love it. So I have a feeling I might have to make some cornbread now. Oh well. Okay, the soup I'm making for tonight's tea is kimchi, homemade kimchi. I'll pop the recipe in the description box. Well, I'll pop the link to the video I did for this one. Kimchi noodle soup, which is going to have onion, bit of pickled garlic instead of normal garlic so I can use it, ginger, kimchi, mushrooms, tofu, some soy sauce, some water, but I'm going to throw a bit of my bouillon in there as well, and at the very end, noodles. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to just saute off my vegetables in the pickled garlic with some of the ginger, and then we'll get on with the rest. Right, the veggies are rocking and rolling in there with the pickled garlic, which is about 2 cloves of garlic and a bit of acidity equivalent, and about a teaspoon of that ginger. Then I'm going to go in with my kimchi. Now this kimchi is chopped up pretty well anyway, so I'm going to go in with a good 2, 3, 4 heaping spoons of my kimchi. Now this kimchi is a random one. It's made of carrots, sprouts and fennel. I just used what I had in at the time. This is not the same kimchi recipe that is on the post, but the method is the same on how I made it. So instead of using cabbage, I used sprouts because I had them, and I had fennel instead of a kohlrabi, which I think I used last time, which it still works really, really well. Next thing, we're going to go in with some soy sauce. So go in with, that's probably a tablespoon and a half. Just give that a little mix. Then we're going to pop in our tofu. So this is about half a block of tofu. To be honest, it's the reason why it's half a block of tofu is because that's what I had in a container in the fridge. You could use corn pieces or whatever protein you particularly prefer. Then I am going to pop on some water. Oh, first, bit of my bouillon, which I've mentioned before has got lots of lovely good stuff in there. There we go. And then a good amount of water. Now we're going to cook our noodles in here in a bit, so that's why I'm putting in a little bit more water than I would normally, so that we can completely cover those veggies, because they're not going to absorb much in terms of liquid. This is the liquid that is going to be our soup. So I'm going to pop that on low, leave it for about 20 minutes just to cook off and heat through, and then we're going to add our noodles. Okay, this has simmered away. I'm going to give it a little bit of a taste just to see where we're up to in terms of flavourings. Everything has heated up beautifully, so I'm just going to taste the soupy part. Oh, that ginger's lovely. Not too powerful. If you're not a fan of ginger, I'd just amp it down a little bit. Maybe do half a teaspoon and then see how you go. So I'm going to go in with my noodles now. These are some Maggi 2-minute noodles. Literally just going to dump them in. I'm not using the seasoning packet. That is going to end up in my spice drawer, where all my other seasoning packets end up. So squish that in. I'm going to pop the lid on just to trap the steam in to make sure that that all stays under, and give it 2 minutes like the packet says. And like I say, these little things are going to go in here with my collection of other ones. I think I could do with tidying this up and giving this a bit of a thing, because some of these have got chilli in them, so I could decant those into my chilli box. But that's where I put all my seasoning packets. Here we are, steaming away. We're going to put our noodles in our bowl, and I've got a ladle to get all that lovely, lovely soupiness and the vegetables and the tofu. So here we are. So this is going to be a soupy spoony a spoony forky job. So, spoon for all that juice, fork for all those noodles. I'm never very delicate at getting it into the bowl correctly. So, here we go. Get a bit of that, bit of that. It's almost like having a bit of pasta. I do like noodly soups. Again, if you saw the last video with the sweet potato, not the last video, the last soup with the sweet potato, cooking it in this cast iron just makes it nuclear. Lovely and gingery. A little bit of spice from the kimchi. Kimchi vegetables have stayed quite crunchy, which is really, really nice. And the tofu is lovely and soft. And it's absorbed a lot of that flavour. Great. So that is May recipe number 4 in the soup series. Potato peel soup. I know, it's a bit different, but it works. And it saves you throwing those potato peels out if you have got some after having made mash. You could throw a bag of, you could collect them over a month or so. You know, if you use potatoes quite often and you don't use the peels, you could throw them in a bag, throw them in the freezer till you've got a job lot, and then make a big load of soup out of it. Actually, that's an idea, that. I'll have to think about doing that. I absolutely love the fennel and apple soup. Reminded me a little bit, as I'm thinking of it now, of the parsnip and apple soup that we made a couple of months ago, but was really, really tasty. And it did have such a Christmas vibe to it, especially once I put that sage in. But that was gone within 2 days. That was my lunch for 2 days. It was really, really good. What else did we make? Oh, sweet potato soup, yes. As I said at the beginning of this video, that is tonight's tea. The extra that we made of that, because that was absolutely yummy and so filling. If you want a hearty one, go for that, definitely. And our fennel soup was our kimchi noodle soup. Absolutely yummy. I have got quite a lot of kimchi, and kimchi is something that I make relatively regularly. Well, about once every 6 to 8 weeks. I can get through a jar of kimchi, and it tastes amazing, and it's so good for you that it's really, really good for your gut bacteria, apparently. So those were our soups for this month. Let me know in the comments below if you've got ideas for soups that you would like to see in the coming months. Hopefully, if our tomato plants do really, really well this year, we can get some lovely variations on different tomato soups. I might even try the cold gazpacho soup. I've never made it. Well, have I made a gazpacho before? Do you know, I can't honestly remember. We shall have to see. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.